Maigovanin Melinin, and welcome back to Medieval Art. I'm Dr. Brian Keane, and I'm here again with Dave Lewis of Cine Millennials. We're going to be discussing the Rings of Power, and can we just start off with a discussion of Númenor? I think we've both been waiting to see this island kingdom, and we're finally there, the star in the sea. We've seen breathtaking views of the capital city of Armenalos, including its harbors, its streets, workshops, taverns, government buildings, and also we've seen the sacred mountain of Meneltarma, which was really inspiring to see, I think, from a few vantage points, and then also the Hall of Laws in Andunye on the western coast. We've met important new characters that I hope we can dive into a little bit, Tar Miriel, Ar-Pharazôn, and we've heard very clear references in some of the most powerful dialogue to the Golden House of Finarfin, to Elrond's brother Elros. So Dave, what caught your eye or ear in this episode?
You know, a few things caught my eye, mostly, which will be a very, very important thing and theme to go on in the future, is the faithful, the Valar. These things are the archangels, the things that help shape Arda or Middle Earth into being. We get a lot of this throughout, even with Isildur, where he hears that whisper when he looks at the Meneltarma. I think there could be a thing here where what I was talking about, I wanted to know about the relationship between Elendil and Isildur and how their faith really impacts them and really makes them who they are. And one of my things that I was like, wait, is Elendil not part of the faithful in this adaptation? I was like, what's happening? And I was like, good job, Lloyd Owen, good job. I think he's gonna be a great kind of I think he's gonna be a great performer. He's gonna have a great performance in this. But I definitely am really interested in the allusion to Ammon, to an Arion. I'm getting the Elendil line mixed up, and Númenorian colonization. I think that's going to be something that's definitely fascinating to see how our world today being so impacted by colonization and its effects, and seeing it in the world of Middle Earth and how we're going to marry those modern ideas within this fantastical setting.
I think something that you touched on now that reminds me of our conversation last week is really the attention to the spirituality of Middle Earth and to the greater world that we're seeing. The whispers from the Meneltarma to Isildur. I hope we get a chance to be on the slopes of Meneltarma in this total moment of silence and reverie, in the opposite way to the elves sailing to Valinor and hearing and joining in the song. That was really wonderful. And your point about Elendil and the faithful, I think there was a slight misdirect. I too was quite worried that, are we going to see his allegiance or not? But I think there was also a kind of measured and guarded approach to the faith and the Valar in Tar Miriel's dialogue. She's clearly referenced the Valar with reverence, the fact that their judgment looks down upon Númenor. I mean, that resonated and sat with me as I watched it again, and obviously foreshadows events to come. And I didn't yet notice a kind of tension between Tar Miriel and Pharazôn, or really the faithful and all of those that are still loyal to Melkor, but I think we'll start to gradually see that. We're already seeing Númenor somewhat in both the peak of their civilization, but a little bit of the decline, because I think Galadriel notes that she's sort of saddened by the developments, either in their overall structure of colonization or what she anticipates to come. So do you think that they've already sailed to Middle Earth and they have these colonies? I mean, where do we stand?
That's what I think. I think they have established these colonies. We talk about Anarion and how that reference, I think, between the House of Elendil, if you will, talking about, oh, Anarion's somewhere else. I think he has gone to Middle Earth and has an establishment there. It has established a colony there, and I think that's what we're going to be going to. I think there's clips of Elendil saying, "Oh, we sailed to we sailed to Middle Earth." And I think that's definitely one of the other things that we're definitely going to be looking forward to seeing some different nuance within this adaptation. But, I do want to talk about how, the faith is super important. This island is there because of the men of the Edain of the age that served with the elves, and they were gifted this land. So they have all this great technology and everything like that. They have this boon. And we are seeing so quickly, by the way, they're the pebble that will eventually turn into a stampede or a what is it?
An avalanche.
An avalanche. Thank you. I don't know why I didn't think of that. But yes, there is a definite divide between the two cultures, and there is a tension building, something that is so relevant to our world today.
I agree. I think what is so much more powerful now in our journey to Middle Earth is that I'm feeling those tensions between communities even more profoundly. Of course, we had Gimli and Legolas that reminded us of the tension between dwarves and elves. Now we hear about the fact that Halbrand is not one of the Edain. He's not the men that built Númenor. We see those tensions between men. We see the tensions between elves. We know about the Noldor thanks to Galadriel's statement. We can see the contrast with Arondir's Sylvan elf community. And then, of course, we are introduced more fully to the orcs, and we start to see a glimpse of the darkness. We're not yet shrouded in shadow. But then, in addition, of course, the Harfoots and so forth. So I'm interested in, there were many other storylines that came up. We now know that that symbol or that sigil of Sauron is a map that points us directly to the Southlands, the places that will become Mordor. I'm curious your thoughts, either the storyline with the stranger and the Harfoots and their migration, or Arondir and the Southlands, the orcs, and this figure Adar. Where should we go next in this conversation? Because there's so much yet to be revealed.
Yeah, I mean, I think the word Adar means father. So I think what we kind of talked about a little bit before we went into the show was that Adar meaning father, and Sauron is known to have many artifices, talking about artifices in the show. He has many faces. He's a changeling. He shapeshifts all the time. So maybe we're getting different variations of Sauron in different bodies in each season, possibly. There's a lot of allusions to maybe Halbrand having connection through his focus on smithing, where he was so focused on that. Sauron was once a Maya, was once a follower of Aule, the master of smiths, the god of smiths, the archangel of smiths, as you say. And I think there's definitely kind of misdirects with that. But I also think that there is this very clear chance that I think one of the lieutenants of Sauron, the sub-lieutenant of Sauron, could be one of the leaders. And in each season leading up to, Sauron eventually coming out, we have a different lieutenant that we have to get through.
It's really wonderful. I think the sense of anticipation that we have for so many aspects of the show, even being steeped in the lore, there's still so much potential for mystery, for the greatness of the world to come to life. I'm glad that we do have, with some of the new characters, other aspects of Tolkien that I think are coming to light. We're seeing a richer picture of some of the individuals that we maybe glimpsed, maybe knew something about, but were given a sort of fuller realm. Even the sailing into Númenor, I think, allowed us a glimpse of Ulmo, the Valar. We're seeing sculptures of Erendil, I think, with the Silmaril in his beautiful crown. I mean, there are so many touches. And then seeing the white tree of Nimloth, I think that was another beautiful point about the spirituality, that when the white petals fall, it's a sign of the health of the house, the houses of Númenor. So is there anything in our final minute and a half or so that you're most looking forward to in our next episode? Because we've been left with this Adar cliffhanger and a few other loose threads.
I'm definitely excited to see where we're going with the journey to Middle Earth with Galadriel and Elendil, and probably Isildur will jump on that ship as a stowaway. I think what we're really looking forward to is this idea of change in the world. This idea of change and chance meetings. There's a lot of chance meetings with Tolkien. He even coins that term. So I think there's a lot of things that might people like, oh no, it might be that's too easy for that to happen. But there is a greater work at hand here.
And I love that you said chance meeting, because I love that in so many of the works of Tolkien and in the films, we hear that line, this was no chance meeting. And I'd like to think that our meeting on social media was no chance meeting. I mean, it's been so wonderful to develop this friendship, this fellowship of conversations about Tolkien. And so I'm really grateful that you've joined us. I hope that everyone else will join us again next week as we continue the discussion. And so until then, Namarie.
Namarie.